Good morning. Let's continue with the topic, that is the budget. So we have seen so many fundamental points in the previous class. Let me straight away open the document and start the discussion with you. Right. Now look at this. After learning so many fundamental things, here is the detailed explanation, and let's go ahead. So the definition we have given here: budget is an anticipated statement of income and expenditure of the government in a financial year. Look at this. So you need to have both income and expenditure to talk in terms of the budget. And whatever we are speaking about the budget, this budget is related exclusively to the government. Even every private industry, every family hold, every individual will have its own budget. But whatever we are discussing, that is exclusively related to the government. And number one is that whenever I am speaking about the government is more oriented towards the welfare of the people. That's the reason why, though I am using both the concepts, income and expenditure, the government in any country will try to spend a good amount of money. But when it comes to the income is also coming from the people, and the government will impose certain taxes, and the people are expected to pay those taxes. But the difference between the private organizations and the government is that government is always expected to tax the people in such a way where the government will be meeting its expenditure, meaning income and expenditure should be equal. That is a basic idea. So you have to collect only such amount what you have spent for the people. That is a basic idea with respect to the government budget. If income and expenditure both are equal, that is called balanced budget. Sometimes the income may be more than the expenditure. That is called the surplus budget. Sometimes income may be less than the expenditure. That is called the deficit budget. Meaning, depending on the income and expenditure you are going for, we classify the budget into three categories: balanced budget, surplus budget, and the deficit budget. And out of all the three, the best budget is the balanced budget, meaning you are spending good amount of money towards the people. At the same time, you are not taxing them too much. You are not giving them so much of pain. That's the reason why balanced budget is considered to be the best budget. If it is a surplus budget, the government is taxing more and the government is collecting more. If it is a deficit budget, it is the improper maintenance of the budget that shows the inefficiency on the part of the government. Government is spending, but when it comes to the collections, the government is not in a position to collect the money. All right, next. I'll show you the document. Look at this now. So what is financial year? Look at this. This is a year for which all the income and expenditure of the government is calculated. In India, the financial year begins on April 1st and ends on March 31st. All these things we have seen in the previous class, so we can move very fastly now. And the financial year may vary from one country to the others. Next one. The word budget is not mentioned in the constitution, but the word budget is referred to as the annual financial statement in the constitution. So this is mentioned under article number 112. So that particular article has mentioned the words annual financial statement. Kindly remember, the word budget is nowhere mentioned in the constitution. Look at this. So these words are mentioned under article 112. So next one is how many types of budgets that are present in India. Since India is a federal country, The financial aspect is also divided between union and the states. Hence, the state budgets are separate from that of the central budget. And when it comes to the central budget itself, railway budget, second one is the general budget. What is the difference between these two? The railway budget consists of the estimates of revenue and expenditures of the Ministry of Railways. That's it. This is talking exclusively about the railways, hence it is called the railway budget. And when it comes to the general budget, it is the estimates of revenue and expenditure of all the ministries of the government of India except railways. If it is exclusively railways, it is called the railway budget. Excluding railways, it is called the general budget. Clear? Now, when the railway budget was separated from the general budget, it happened in the year 1921. It was separated on the recommendations of the Ackworth Committee report. Kindly remember this point, very, very important one. This was done to introduce flexibility in the railway finances. So during that time, the British government was present in India. It felt that it is necessary to have a separate budget for the railways so that it can go for the faster development of the railways if you have the independence in the railways. This was done to facilitate the business approach to the railway policy. So this is the basic idea. Next one, this was also to enable the railways to keep their profits for their own development. You can use their profits for your own development after paying a fixed annual contribution to the general revenues. You'll be contributing, railways will be contributing some fixed amount to the government for the general revenues, and the remaining money that it can use for its own development. Even today also the same things are happening. Look at this. Please note simple points, very simple points. All the points I have discussed with you in the previous class itself. The budget is presented in the form of a bill. The budget is presented first in the Lok Sabha only. The budget is presented only with the prior permission of the president. Railway budget is presented first, and the general budget follows the railways budget. In general, the railway budget is presented by the railway minister, and the general budget is presented by the finance minister. So these are the two important areas here. So basically, since we have the respective ministers in the government, the respective ministers will be presenting the budget. But sometimes what happens, railway minister may not be available during this time. But basically, since it is very, very important concept, the budget you are going to present, definitely railway minister will make his presence. But there may be a situation where the health of railway minister may not be good, so that he may be ill because of some reason. He is not in a position to present the budget. For that reason, I cannot stop the budget. So during the time, either the minister of state for railways or any other minister as designated by the prime minister will be presenting the budget. You have to present the budget, there is no other go. But in the absence of the railway minister, any other minister can present the budget who is designated for that purpose by the prime minister. In the similar manner, every time we will see the general budget is always presented by the finance minister. But because of any reason, the finance minister may not be in a good health, right? So he may be out of country, or some reason. So during that time, again, in the absence of the finance minister, any other minister may present the budget. Okay, now again I'm opening the document. Look at this now. All the points we have seen in the previous class, we are just going through this one again to some extent, and after that we'll go for the detailed explanation. The railway budget contains 32 demands, and the general budget contains 109 demands. Look at this. Altogether, we have 141 demands. And out of these 109 demands of the general budget, 103 are the civil demands, and the remaining 6 are the defense demands. Next one, kindly remember the number. You have to mention this number in the examination. The Rajya Sabha has no powers regarding the budget, and the Rajya Sabha should return the money bill within 14 days. And the budget cannot be sent back by the president for the reconsideration. Clear? Because the budget is a money bill has to be signed by the President of India because it was introduced in the Lok Sabha with the prior permission of the President. And after it passes, it clears to both the houses, the President must sign and the President cannot send it back for reconsideration. Okay, you kindly wait for a minute. Just a moment. Yeah, I'm sorry. Now, so let's continue. So look at this. So what are the constitutional provisions of the budget? Kindly remember, the word budget is not mentioned, but in the place of the word budget, we have something called annual financial statement. Look at this. Now, the president shall, in respect of every financial year, everything is mentioned in the constitution. Look at this. The president, in respect to the every financial year, caused to be laid before both the houses of the parliament a statement of estimated receipts and expenditure of the government of India for that financial years. This means that the responsibility of the presentation of the budget under the constitution lies with the president of India. And on behalf of the president, it is the government, that is the finance minister, who is presenting the budget. But under the constitution, it is the responsibility of the president. Look at this. No demand for a grant shall be made except on the recommendation of the president. No demand for grant in the sense, not even a single rupee can be spent without the permission of the parliament, and the parliament will give the permission only after it is recommended by the president of India. Next one. No money shall be withdrawn from the consolidated fund of India except under appropriation made by law. See here, in the previous class, I was telling you under article number 266, I have something called Consolidated Fund of India. This Consolidated Fund of India is nothing but one of the accounts of the government of India that is there with the RBI, Reserve Bank of India. And this is the place where the government has all the money. And from this particular account, the money will be drawn and the money will be spent. And that money will be drawn only with the permission of the president, only after it is accepted by the parliament. Otherwise, you cannot spend the money. That is the idea. Again, look at this. No money bill imposing the tax, no money bill imposing the tax shall be introduced in the parliament except on the recommendation of the president, and such a bill shall not be introduced in the Rajya Sabha. What do you mean by this? Budget means annual financial statement. In that one, I have two items. One is the income, second one is the expenditure. Whenever you want to spend money, you have to draw the money from the consolidated fund of India, and you can draw the consolidated fund of India only with the permission that is granted by the President of India, meaning government cannot spend even a single rupee without the permission of the president. In the similar manner, whenever the government wants to collect the taxes, you are collecting the taxes from the people, and for that reason, again you need to introduce a bill, again you need to pass a bill, and that bill should not be introduced in the Rajya Sabha. The bill has to be introduced only in the Lok Sabha with the prior permission of the president. That is the meaning of this. Now, again, look at this. I'm going to the next page. This is the meaning of this. No tax shall be levied or collected except by the authority of law. Levied in the sense imposed. Collection means collecting from the people. No tax shall be levied or collected except by the authority of the law. Without a law, law means what? Bill, introduce a bill, pass a bill, president will sign, then only it will become a law. Only after making it a law, then you will be collecting the taxes. Next, Parliament can reduce or abolish a tax, but it cannot increase it. Very important one. Parliament has every right to demand for the reduction of a tax. It has every right to demand for the abolition of a tax. But the Parliament cannot increase the tax. Look at this. The Constitution also provides the relative positions of both the houses of the Parliament with regard to enactment of the budget. What is the position of the each house? A money bill or finance bill dealing with the taxation cannot be introduced in the Rajya Sabha. We know this point since day one. We are discussing about this. A money bill or finance bill must be introduced only in the Lok Sabha. Kindly sir, let me give a little clarification to here. You are coming across with the two words. One is the money, second one is the finance. Generally, they look alike, they sound alike, the meaning may be alike. But whenever we are talking about the money bill, it is the bill which is meant for the expenditure. And when we talk about the finance bill, so that is a bill which we are talking in terms of the income. Next one. The Rajya Sabha has no power to vote on the demand for grants, and it is the exclusive power of the Lok Sabha. Next one. The Rajya Sabha should return the money bill or finance bill within 14 days. Again, we know these points. Lok Sabha can either accept or reject the recommendations made by the Rajya Sabha. And the estimates of the expenditure embodied in the budget shall show separately the expenditure charged on the Consolidated Fund of India and the expenditure made from the Consolidated Fund of India. Sir, what do you mean by this expenditure charged and expenditure made? Look at this. We have some important authorities in India, like the President of India, or the Vice President, or the Supreme Court judges, and when it comes to CAG. So these are all considered to be the very, very important offices in India. And during the discussion of those topics, we'll also discuss that the salaries and allowances of these offices will be charged upon the Consolidated Fund of India. Whenever we are using the word charged, kindly remember that is an amount that is being spent exclusively for the salaries and allowances of that particular authority. During that time, just like any other expenditure, the Parliament will also vote on that particular area. I'm sorry, the parliament will be voting on all the parliament will be voting on all the expenditure, but not on the expenditure that is related to the president, vice president, supreme court, CAG, and some important offices. So meaning wherever you are coming across with the word expenditure charge, the meaning is that this particular matter will be discussed in the parliament, but it cannot be voted. Meaning any demand that is not subjected to voting, that is called charged expenditure. And if you discuss, if you also vote, then it is called expenditure made. Hope I am clear. Two things please, let me repeat once again for the clarification. One is the expenditure charged, second one is the expenditure made. If I am using the word expenditure charged, this is subjected only to the discussion and it cannot be voted. When we use the word expenditure made, this is one which is subjected to both discussion and also voting. So that is the difference here. Hopefully I'm clear. Now look at this one. Next one. The budget shall distinguish expenditure on the revenue account from the other expenditure. We'll try to understand these points later. And when it comes to the expenditure, this is of two types. Look at this. Just now I told you. One is the expenditure charged. Second one is the expenditure made. Now we'll look into this very detailedly. What do you mean by this expenditure charge? This is the non-votable by the parliament and it is called the expenditure charge. Look at this, very, very important. It is subjected to the discussion, but it cannot be voted. The charged expenditure is discussed in the parliament and the charged expenditure is not voted in the parliament. Next one is the emoluments and allowances of the president and other expenditure related to his office. Examples here. What do you mean by this? Charged expenditure? It is subjected to discussion. It is not subjected to voting. But what are the expenses that are coming under the expenditure charge? Look at this. Number one, emoluments and allowances of the president and other expenditure related to his office. Number one. Next one, the salaries and allowances of the chairman and deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha and the speaker and deputy speaker of the Lok Sabha. Since these offices are considered to be very important offices here, their expenditure will not be voted, but it will be discussed. Look at this. Look at this. Next one. The salaries and allowances and pensions of the judges of the Supreme Court and the pensions of the judges of the High Court. Kindly see here. Let me give little clarification to you. So this is salaries, allowances and pensions are given to the Supreme Court judges and the salaries, pensions and allowances are given to the judges of the High Court. But there is a little difference that who will pay all these things. When it comes to the salaries and pensions of the Supreme Court judges, it is always paid by the central government. Salaries and pensions of the Supreme Court judges is paid by the central government. And when it comes to the High Court judges, since these High Courts are located in states, when it comes to the salary will be paid by the concerned state government. I am talking to you regarding High Court judges. The salary will be paid by concerned High Court judges, but when it comes to the pension, after retirement they are getting the pension, and with respect to the pension is always paid by the central government. Kindly remember, this is one difference between the salaries and pensions between Supreme Court judges and High Court judges. With respect to High Court judges, salary is always paid by the state government and pension that is paid by central government. That's it. Okay. Now, look at this. Salaries, allowances, and pensions of another important office called CAG. Salaries, allowances, and pensions of the chairman and members of the Union Public Service Commission. Look at this. So many things will come under the expenditure charge. Remember all the points, please. Administrative expenses of the Supreme Court, the office of the CAG, and the Union Public Service Commission, including the salaries, allowances, and pensions of the persons serving in these offices. Next one, the debt charges for which the government of India is liable, including interest, sinking fund charges, and other expenditure relating to the raising of the loans and the services and redemption of the debt. Even that also comes under the expenditure charge. And any sum that is required to satisfy any judgment, decree, award of any court or tribunal, that is also coming under the so-called the expenditure charge. Next one, and any other expenditure if so declared by the parliament. Next one, in simple terms. So I made it some simple here. In simple terms, the charged expenditure includes emoluments and allowances of the president and other expenditure related to his office, the salaries and allowances of chairman of the Rajya Sabha, deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha, speaker of the Lok Sabha, deputy speaker of the Lok Sabha, salaries, allowances, and pensions of judges of the Supreme Court, comptroller and auditor general, chairman and members of the Union Public Service Commission, followed by pensions of the judges of the High Court, and followed by the last one, the debt charges for which the government of India is liable, including interest, sinking fund charges, and other expenditure relating to the raising of the loans and the services and redemption of the debt, followed by any sum that is required to satisfy any judgment, decree, award of any court or tribunal, and any other expenditure declared by the Parliament of India to be so charged. So all these things, whatever we have seen, that is coming under the so-called the expenditure that is charged. Now let's see what is the expenditure that is made, right? It's very simple one again. This part of the expenditure is discussed and voted by the parliament. If it is discussed and also voted, it is called expenditure made. Only discussion, that is the expenditure charged, no voting. Okay. Next one. When it comes to the stages in the enactment of the budget, how do you make the budget? Look at this now. How do you make this budget? So budget is a bill, and this bill should be made into an act. How do you make it? For this reason, we have the 5 steps. These 5 steps we are going to discuss in a detailed manner now. Number 1 is the presentation of the budget. Number 2 is the general discussion. Number 3 is the voting on demand for grants. Number 4, consideration and passing of the appropriation bill. I used this word even in the previous class. Appropriation means expenditure bill. Next, consideration and voting on the finance bill. Finance bill is a bill which talks about the taxation. All the tax proposals are present in the finance bill. Appropriation, expenditure. Finance, income. Right? Putting together is called the budget. Am I clear? Now, let's straight away open the document again and we'll try to have the discussion. So these are the few steps or stages that the budget should go through before it becomes an act. Number 1, presentation of the budget, right? I told you already. So this is the day on which the finance minister will come to the Lok Sabha and speak the budget. Gives a speech, and that speech is called the budget speech. Second one, discussion on the budget. This is called general discussion. And I told you during this time, it is the finance minister who will be giving the answers, but not the concerned minister. Concerned minister will give the answer at step number 3. Generally, for step number 2, 3 to 4 days are allocated. Number 3, voting on demand for grants. So, see here, so let me tell you a few points here. And this is the place. So this is the place where the estimates committee will come into the picture. Estimates committee we have already seen. There are 30 members in this estimates committee, and these members are drawn from the Lok Sabha. Estimates committee will look into the whole budget and it will try to give some suggestions to reduce the expenditure. It is, the name itself is indicating it's an economy committee. It should always strive to give the recommendations where the expenditure can be reduced. So that is number 1. Number 2, I was telling you in the previous class we have discussed that we have discussed about the departmental standing committees. CANDING standing committees. So these points we have already discussed here. So what do you mean by this? So during this particular stage, there will be a break for 15 to 20 days. And during this time, the estimates committee, departmental standing committees, and other related committees will come into the picture. They will start looking into the concepts of the budget. They will try to concentrate more on the expenditure of the government. And wherever they feel that the government is spending more money in any area, and they have every right to give the suggestions to the government to reduce the expenditure. So that is the basic idea. Now, see here, already I told you that whatever the money that the government is spending, that money is related to the people. That money belongs to the people of the country. Hence, the government is expected to spend the money with lots of caution. Because of any reason, if the estimates are higher, that can be reduced by the recommendations that are given by estimates committee and the departmental standing committees. And once this is over, again we are coming across with another point called, so this is the voting on demand for grants. What do you mean by this demand? Already we have seen, I was telling you, so there are 109 demands in the general budget plus 32 demands in the railway budget. So altogether 141 demands are there. Kindly remember this very important point. And here I am using this word, this is a demand. Demand is nothing but it is a minute expenditure of a particular department. What do you mean by this? When the government says that it is spending 16 lakh crore rupees in particular year, that 16 lakh crore rupees will be spent on different areas like health, education, agriculture, defense, right, railways, so many areas that will be taken care by the government. But during this time, if the government says that for health department, it is going to spend 50,000 crores in the coming financial year, it is not just enough for the people of the country to say 50,000 crores are being spent on the health purposes. But out of this 50,000 crores, where exactly each rupee is going, that is also important. Hence, the government will make the announcement that some 5,000 crores will be used for controlling this AIDS, and 2,000 crores will be used for controlling the malaria and some other diseases. Like this, they have to mention very clearly where exactly each rupee is going. And the people of the country has every right to know, because they are spending our money. That is not the money of the government. And the minutest discussion is nothing but the demand. Hence, the budget as a whole will never be discussed in the parliament. And the budget will be discussed in the form of the demands. That's the reason why step number 3 is considered to be very, very important. And this is the place where heated debate and discussions will take place in the parliament. And for that reason, 26 days have been allocated. And in these 26 days, the speaker will ask the members to go for the discussion and voting on each demand. So during this time, 141 demands are expected to be discussed, voted, and they will become the grant. A demand will become a grant only after it is duly voted in the Lok Sabha. And if a demand is not voted in the Lok Sabha, that is not considered to be passed, and that money will not be released to the government for expenditure. Now the point is that for discussing and voting, is the given time 26 days is sufficient? The answer is definitely not. In India so far, we have never discussed all 141 demands separately, and we have never voted all the 141 demands separately. But there are mechanisms how to close the discussions. But otherwise, we have experience in India where not even a single demand was discussed for the entire 26 days, because different political parties are present in the parliament, and different political parties will have different matters to be discussed. During that time, sometimes they feel that other matters may be more important than the budget. During this time, unnecessarily disruptions will take place in the parliament, and the parliament time will be wasted. Example, in the year 2013, the budget was passed without discussing even a single demand. How it will be passed, I'll tell you now. Look at this. And once the step number 3 is over, it is the consideration and passing of the appropriation bill. I told you already in the brackets, please look at this. Appropriation bill is nothing but the expenditure bill, right? Next, after this one, we'll see that it's called consideration and passing of the this one. This moment, wait for a minute again. I'll be just back. Yeah, yeah, I'm back. No, yes. Look at the next one. So the consideration and passing of the finance bill. I really appreciate you all for joining me in the early hours like this. The winter is really too cold this time. The temperatures are very, very low, but still you are getting up in the early hours to attend the classes. I really appreciate you. I wish you all the very, very best. Next one. So now let's look at all these steps in a detailed manner. So one after the other, we'll try to see here. But first of all, please remember all the points here. We have understood what is the meaning of the budget and where you are introducing the budget. And we came to know that there are two types of budgets, railway budget and general budget. And we understood how many demands are present in the each budget. Later, so we are trying to make this budget into an act. And without making an act, you cannot spend the money and you cannot collect the money. That's the reason why budget is a bill that you are introducing this. And whatever the procedures we are looking now, so we have seen 5 steps that are present. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One is the presentation of the budget, general discussion, voting on demand for grants, consideration and passing of the appropriation bill, expenditure bill, consideration and passing of the finance bill. So these are the 5 steps we have. Is that okay? Now let's try to understand. So this in each step in a detailed manner. So at step number 3, we'll be spending some time to understand in a very detailed manner, right? Now, so let me again open the document and have a look at here. Look at this presentation of the budget. So this is the first step in the process of the budget. Okay, next, the railway budget is presented 1 or 2 days before the general budget is presented. It means the railway budget precedes the general budget. I told you already. So this is only a tradition and not a compulsion. Clear? Number one. Number two, the general budget is presented on the last working day of the February. Both railway and general budgets are presented in the Lok Sabha first with the prior permission of the president. Next one, I gave you something called budget speech. What do you mean by this? The finance minister presents the general budget with a speech, and that speech is called the budget speech, right? Next one, later the budget is presented to the Rajya Sabha, and the Rajya Sabha has no power to vote, but it can discuss. Clear? So this is the step number one, and the step number one is over. And after this, we are coming across with the second step, that is the general discussion. This is the second step in the enactment of the budget. In general, 3 to 4 days are allocated for the general discussion, and it takes place in both the houses of the parliament. During this stage, the budget is discussed as a whole and not any part of it. But no voting takes place. The name itself is indicating it's a general discussion. And at the end of the discussion, the finance minister gives the reply. The concerned minister will be giving the reply at step number 3. But at step number 2, it is the finance minister that is giving this. Look at this. Note. After the general discussion, the House is adjourned for 3 to 4 weeks. During this time, the budget is examined by not 17, now I have 24. So the budget is examined by 24 standing committees of the parliament, and the committees submit the report to the parliament. Ultimately, you have to see that the expenditure is reduced. Okay. Next is the step number 3. Look at this. This is called voting on demand for grants. We know that altogether there are 141 demands. Each demand has to be discussed, each demand has to be voted, and each demand will become a grant. This is the third step in the enactment of the budget. Look at this. What is a demand? For your understanding, better understanding, I tried to make it as simple as possible. Number one, the demand is nothing but a proposal. As we already discussed, there are 109 demands in the general budget and 32 in the railway budget. A demand becomes a grant after it is voted. Hence, each demand has to be presented, discussed, and voted to make it a grant. So without all these things, you cannot make it a grant. Look at this. The voting on demand for grants is the exclusive privilege of the Lok Sabha. Kindly see here, first step and second step that has taken place in both the houses, both in Lok Sabha and also in the Rajya Sabha. But when it comes to step number 3, it is an exclusive privilege of the Lok Sabha, where detailed discussion will take place, and after that voting will also take place in the Lok Sabha. It is not just voting on 1, 2, 3 demands here. All 141 demands must be discussed together. All the 141 demands must be discussed separately and voted separately. So this is the basic idea of the step number 3. And the Rajya Sabha has no power on voting for the demand for grants. Altogether, 26 days are allocated. Since beginning, we have allocated 26 days, and even today also, number of days that are allocated are 26. Remember this. And the voting is confined only to the expenditure made. I need not explain you again at this stage. I told you already what is the meaning of this. Discussion, both expenditure made and expenditure charged. But when it comes to voting, voting is restricted only to the expenditure made. That's it. When it comes to expenditure made, this is discussed and also voted. And the expenditure charged on the consolidated fund of India is only discussed, and this is not subject to vote. Look at this. All 141 demands are presented ministry wise. Next one, ministry wise, and all 141 demands are voted separately by the Lok Sabha. At this stage, the Lok Sabha discusses the budget in a detailed manner, and the speaker will be allocating the time for each demand. We know already speaker is a very important person in the Lok Sabha, and without the consent of the Lok Sabha speaker, nothing will take place in the Lok Sabha. Hence, in this case also, speaker is playing a crucial role and is allocating the time for each demand. Within the time specified by the speaker, the discussion on the demand must be completed and the demand will be put to vote. Once the allocated time is over, the speaker announces the closure. Very, very important here. Okay. What do you mean by closure? Look at this. Kindly, you are coming across with two words. Here you can see closure. Here you can see guillotine. These two words again we are using during the budget. That to do at step number 3. Look at this next one. Once the allocated time is over, the speaker announces the closure. What do you mean by this closure? The demand must be put to vote as the allotted time is over. No more discussion is permitted because the time is over. Immediately that will be put to vote. That is nothing but an order that is given by the speaker. In general, all the demands are not discussed and voted within the allocated time of 26 days. Never in the history of India it happened. But whenever the 26 days are over, since the allocated time is over, now the speaker will announces the guillotine. Can you remember? So the meaning of this is nothing but it means cut the throat. But this is nothing but voting group of demands together that are not discussed. Kindly look at very clearly. There is no point in confusion here. Whenever I am using the word closure, closure will be used by the speaker once the time allocated for a particular demand is over. Discussion is over. Now go to voting here. But when I'm talking about the guillotine, guillotine is always related to group of demands. Closure, single demand. Guillotine, group of demands. In closure, the discussion is over. Guillotine, the discussion is not over. And closure means for each demand, the closure will be used. But when it comes to guillotine, this is the group of demands. Is it okay? And this closure may be used any number of times by the speaker. But when it comes to the guillotine, guillotine will be used by the speaker only on the at the end of the 26th day. Clear? And this is nothing but voting group of demands together that are not discussed. Look at this. At the end of this 26th day, all the demands that are not discussed are put to vote together by the speaker. And during this stage means step number 3. Step number 3, the cut motions are moved. What do you mean by these cut motions here? These are meant to reduce any demand for grants. Now, kindly look at here one point. I would like to make it very clear. Presentation is over, general discussion is over. And after that, there is a break in the parliament we have seen. During that time, the estimates committee and the departmental standing committees will come into the picture and they'll be giving certain recommendations to the government regarding the reduction of the expenditure. So these are the committees, they are the part of the parliament. And what are the discussions that will take place in the parliament? The people of the nation we cannot see. But when it comes to the actual discussions that are happening on the floor of the house, the people of the country has every right to know. That's the reason in the Lok Sabha, during the stage number 3, the members who are present in the parliament will raise the questions. Previously, it was raised by the parliamentary committees. Now, on the floor of the house, directly the opposition party members will be demanding the government to give more explanation. And wherever the opposition parties are not happy with any expenditure, they will try to reduce the expenditure that is proposed by the government. And that reduction is possible through the cut motions. But most of the times, rather every time, that the reduction of the expenditure is not possible because it is the government that has the majority in the Lok Sabha. Hopefully you got this point. Now, because the government has a majority, there may not be any possibility for the reduction. But the opposition party members can express their grievances by announcing that they want to introduce the cut motions. Most of the times, the speaker will not permit for the cut motions because the speaker also knows that if the cut motions are introduced, they are not going to be passed. That's the reason why the speaker will not allocate any time. If it is allocated, then the cut motions will be discussed, and accordingly, kindly remember, whatever I am going to talk to you now, this is happening at step number 3, voting on demand for grants. And through this cut motion, there are 3 cut motions here. Number 1 is the policy cut, number 2 is the economy cut, number 3 is the token cut. And depending on the situation, the members in the parliament, they will be demanding for this. If it is accepted by the speaker, these cut motions are introduced. Again, the discussion will take place. If the majority of the members in the Lok Sabha are voting for cut motions, then during the time, it will be the proposed expenditure will be reduced. And what is the meaning of this each cut motion? Let's try to understand now. One after the other, we'll have a discussion. Look at this. So there are 3 kinds of cut motions. First one is the policy cut, second one is the economy cut, and third one is the token cut. All cut motions are introduced only during the voting on demand for grants. The cut motions are introduced if the speaker accepts them. Right? Now, look at this. The cut motions are generally introduced with the members of the opposition parties. In practice, there is no much use of these cut motions. In reality, it will not happen. Since the government enjoys the majority in the Lok Sabha, cut motions are not passed. If the cut motions are passed in the Lok Sabha, then it is considered to be an expression of no confidence on the government. Important, right? Next one. If a cut motion is passed, then the government must resign. We'll try to see one after the other now. Policy cut, what do you mean by this? If you look at the name itself, the policy itself is being cut. This is the disapproval of the policy underlying the demand. What do you mean by this? Say, for example, the government wants to spend 1,000 rupees, 1,000 crores. Say, for example, crores. And whenever the government wants to, this is the demand. 1,000 crores is the demand. And behind this demand, you need to have a policy. That's the reason why the government says that it will be spending 1,000 crores to control swine flu. Meaning 1,000 crores is the demand, and behind that demand, there should be a policy. If there is no policy, there should be no demand. If there is a demand, every demand should have a policy behind this. Okay, but in the policy cut, whatever the proposal that is being put forward by the government, so there is a mechanism to disapprove the policy. Here, whether the government is asking for 1,000 crores, 2,000 crores, or 100 crores, 200 crores, we are least bothered. But once the opposition parties demand for the policy cut, if they introduce and if the policy cut is passed, then the they are against the concept of the policy, whatever may be the policy here. If the policy is cut, then automatically the total demand is lost. The total demand will be gone. That is the meaning of the policy cut. Look at this. What will happen if it is passed? If the policy cut is passed, then the total amount of the demand is reduced to rupees 1. Kindly remember this particular point. You have to write in the examination. What is that demand? I don't know. It is X. Maybe 1000 crores, maybe 2000 crores, or 10,000 crores. But if the policy cut is passed, that 1000 crores will be reduced to 1 rupee. 2000 crores will be reduced to 1 rupee. That is called the policy cut. Am I clear? Next one. Economy cut. This economy cut is not against the policy, but it is against the amount. Policy is okay, but it's considered to be against the amount. What do you mean by amount? Amount in the sense, this is a demand. You are demanding for 1000 crores. And in the economy cut, the members will demand that this particular 1000 crores should be reduced by 200 crores. 200 crores. What do you mean by this? Then when the demand is like this, it will become 1000 crores minus 200 crores. It will become 800 crores. This is the point here. And whatever you are demanding for the reduction, this 200 crores, it will become the demand for the reduction. 1000 crores minus 200 crores is equal to 800 crores. Whatever the amount you are trying to deduct, that is called the economy cut. Here, the opposition party members are not against the policy, but they are against the amount that you are spending. Clear? So this is called the, look at this. The economy cut is not against the policy, but against the amount. If the economy cut is passed, then the total amount of the demand is reduced by specified amount. 1000 crores minus 200 crores is equal to 800 crores. 200 crores is a specified amount. But if you want to reduce 300 crores, then 300 crores will become the specified amount. Am I clear? Next one. Next one is a token cut. Token means nominal cut. Look at this. The token cut is also called the nominal cut. This is just to express the grievance of the members against demand. In fact, there is no usage of this. Then, look at the last point. If the token cut is passed, then the amount of the demand is reduced by 100 rupees. Very, very, very important. In policy cut, you are reducing the demand to rupees 1. But here, you are reducing the demand by 100 rupees, meaning X minus 100 rupees. Look at this quick review. We have 1, 2, 3. The total in policy cut, the total amount is reduced to 1 rupees. In economy cut, it is reduced by specified amount. In token cut, it is reduced by 100 rupees. Okay, look at this. Note we have given. As we know, the budget contains two parts, income and expenditure. The income and expenditure are presented, discussed, and passed separately. Separately in the form of two different bills. One is the appropriation bill, second one is the finance bill. These two bills form fourth and fifth steps in the enactment of the budget. Okay, so this is the step number 4. So this is step number 4 and step number 5 will be discussing tomorrow, and I will stop the class at this stage. We'll continue this, and I want you to please go through this particular video once again, the previous one and this one, and try to yourself concretize. And tomorrow anyway you will be completing this budget part. And next month practically the government of India is going to introduce the budget, and it will become so easy for you to follow the budget. Starting from February 1st onwards, every day you will come across with a news related to the budget. During that time, follow each proceedings that are happening in the parliament, and that will continue up to May. So you will come to know practically what exactly happens. Since you have the knowledge of the each and every word, it becomes very easy for you to understand in a better manner, right? So thank you so much for being with me this morning. I'll see you tomorrow morning at the same time for the budget class. Thank you so much.